What do music records, automobiles, and community hubs have in common? They were each rooted in a small slice of Main Street and Lafayette Avenue in Buffalo, New York. More than a century of pivotal U.S. history was made in a building here. Preservationists are carefully restoring it to the early 1900s. Developer Jason Yots says he is grateful that the structure called the Monroe building repeatedly escaped the wrecking ball.
I think it's always a great reminder of kind of the continuum of our communities when you see something brought back to its historic state.
The seeds of this project were planted decades ago when members of the preservation team Yots later pulled together were separately shopping for music records. Back then, the structure housed a popular record store. Leonard Silver, a beloved music producer, purchased the Monroe building after 1968 and converted it into a place where the community could come together over their shared love of music.
When my kids were born in the early 2000s, was like, I don't want to say a place of refuge, but a place that I would go like on Saturdays, get a cup of coffee and buy a couple records, and then, take a break from the domestic craziness. Lenny offered a place for all walks of life. And so there would be someone in there buying a hip hop record, and I'm in there buying an alt indie country record, and someone's buying a Broadway show, and we're all at the register together at the same time because that was the kind of shop that he ran.
20 years ago, preservationist Mike Puma was a high school student who frequently perused the record collection at Silver's store and pondered its architecture.
I've always been interested in older buildings ever since I was a kid, so I was kind of always just poking around.
Puma noticed something intriguing at Silver's record store. Ornate detailing on the establishment ceiling did not match the rest of the facade.
It's this strange building clad in these goofy corrugated metal panels, and it just kind of looks very suburban and out of place. So I always kind of had a sneaking suspicion here. There's definitely got to be something going on.
Puma kept wondering if someone had hidden the building's historic workmanship underneath the drywall. It took several years before this theory was tested. After Silver's death in 2017, the doors of the record store were barred. The corner of Main and Lafayette fell silent, and the people in the community felt a void.
I was devastated when I heard that he passed away. I knew that he was such an icon.
But Silver had left behind a surprise. When the preservationists chipped away a small piece of interior drywall, the capital letter M was uncovered. It had been etched into the ornate workmanship, matching the style of the exposed original ceiling. Restoration developer Travis Gordon described their reaction to this discovery.
It's like unwrapping a humongous gift.
The developers surmised that Silver had deliberately saved the building from demolition by preserving it. A complete restoration would have been very expensive. Instead, cost-effective methods were used to preserve its historic workmanship. The structure was originally built in 1920 and became the home of the Monroe Motor Car Company, an elaborate automobile dealership. The letter M that was uncovered stood for Monroe. Over the years, the dealership changed hands. As Yots explained, when the preservationists began uncovering the building, the public began taking an interest in the past.
There's been a lot of music nostalgia for the last 50 years, and there's been a lot of automobile nostalgia for the prior 50 years.
The more drywall the preservationists removed, the more historic art they discovered. In another area, an elaborate mural appeared, complete with the image of a car that matched an archival photo. When the preservationists removed Silver's facade from the exterior of the building, the reveal was so dramatic that many Buffalo residents did not recognize the landmark.
Some of them are just shocked. Some people thought we tore it down and they were driving by different buildings.
In 2022, the Monroe building was certified as a historic structure, and the preservationists solidified their plans to return it to the way it looked when travelers from around the world visited the dealership, and Main Street was known as Automobile Row. The restoration experts had been forced to revise their plans several times due to unexpected challenges. Originally, they envisioned the building as consisting exclusively of commercial space, complete with a new record store run by one of Silver's former employees. When that individual fell ill and the price of construction soared, the record store changed from a reality to a dream. As Yots explains,
Construction costs have been a real challenge in Buffalo. They've gone up exponentially.
preservationist Richard Rogers describes the challenges the team faced in 2 words.
Incredibly stressful.
The preservationists kept trying to reach their goals as those challenges kept mounting.
There's been a couple times when we've looked at having to sell the building, and that was really deflating. We've put so much work into it, and a lot of it is uncompensated work, quite frankly. That was really a scary, concerning time.
After repeatedly changing their plans to cover rising costs, the preservationists adapted them to add 17 affordable apartments to their 11,000 square feet of commercial space. This provided a critical subsidy through a low interest rate loan. Travis Gordon spoke for all the preservationists when saying,
We do think that corner in Buffalo is so important. We don't want that building to be torn down and that history to be lost.
around the spring of 2024, when the restoration project is slated to be fully complete, the Monroe building will house international food makers, a patio, and a community stage where residents can come together and appreciate local talent. As Yots explains,
We're just, trying to keep that vibe alive that Leonard made that corner famous for.
in remembrance of Silver, residents will be invited to perform their favorite tunes on that stage, many of which they originally heard on records they chose when the music producer ran their community record store. In Buffalo, Katherine Chloe Cahoon.